it seems that folks will uh, they'll do anything to obtain riches, and once they get it, there's no satisfaction there. The more you get, the more you want. Uh, Forbes magazine every year publishes a list of the richest people in America, then the richest people in the world, and then the richest women, so forth. And it's kind of a status symbol for uh, the billionaires to be on this list. And it's usually the first 400 or 500 billionaires on this particular list. And it's a status symbol to have the biggest yacht and to have your own private jets. And then the bigger the jet is, the more status you have. Of course, the bigger the jet, the more fuel it burns, the more it costs you. But at this particular level, folks are not concerned about expenses. It's all about show. I remember one time Mr. Buffett, who is at that time he was the second richest man in the world, and he was the owner of our company. And he said that he did not have a yacht, like others, because if he had a yacht, then he'd have to be concerned about what's going on aboard his yacht when he's not there. So he did not have that. The only luxury he had, he bought himself a new Cadillac. That's after driving a Lincoln for about 15 years. So he and some of these folks at the very top are a little different. In fact, he as well as Linda and Bill Gates have formed are giving a charitable organization that will fund education and health research and so forth. So not all people that are rich are greedy. A lot of them will give back. But when we make the world our goal to obtain riches, if that's paramount in our lives, then we're going to meet with unhappiness. One day, a prospecting party penetrating far into the Klondike, good morning, came upon a miner's hut. Entering the hut, they found the frozen bodies of two men and a large quantity of gold. On the table, there was a letter which told of the successful search for this precious ore. In their eagerness to mine the gold, the miners had neglected to make provisions for the coming winter. Each day, the two men found gold in abundance. One morning, they awoke and saw that the blizzard had come. For days, a tempest raged. All hope of escape left when their little store of food was gone. They wrote a letter and lay down in the midst of abounding gold. How well this narrative illustrates the spiritual conditions of millions of wealthy people whose pursuit have resulted in personal emptiness. Jesus asked, what advantage would the worldly wealth provide should the wealthy suffer eternal loss? Jesus treasured wealthy people as much as he valued people within his own socioeconomic class. Jesus, the ordinary everyday carpenter, was neither intimidated nor enamored by the worldly wealth. Jesus must have known well the challenges of supporting a family by the work of one's hand. Yet, he exhibited no jealousy regarding wealthy people. Prosperous people, politically positioned people, could not intimidate Jesus either. Good morning. How are you? Before I forget. So, in the beginning of our lesson, the richly blessed, we have several folks that were wealthy. Abraham and Lot, Joseph, Job, even Jacob. You know, when Jacob left, had to flee from home, what did he flee with? You know, pardon? To his what? When he fled from, after he had deceived his father and he had to get out of town, he left with hardly nothing, right? But 20-something years later, he comes back and he's a very wealthy man. So he had worked diligently and the Lord had blessed him. And he was no longer called Jacob after he had that encounter. He was called Israel, right? And his wealth is of such that the gates of the New Jerusalem will have the names of his sons, right? Okay. So that's, but there's an indication of Nebuchadnezzar. Well, when we talk about Nebuchadnezzar, who was wealthy, and what did he do? What did he say? I. He put the big I in, you know. And this is what we have to keep in mind, that what we have is nothing. We have not accumulated ourselves, but God has allowed us to do it. He has blessed us because, and we have to continually keep that in mind. So what happens to Nebuchadnezzar while he's talking? He hears from God, huh? And what? What was the results of that? Beasts of the field, eating grass for 7 years, until he was humbled. And when he came back, he acknowledged God as being God. Prior to that, he said, remember, he fit the God of Daniel. He recognized that the God of Daniel was superior, but now, after he being humbled, it was his God also. Okay? In the bottom here, it says that, what are your own attitudes toward the rich? It's easy to be jealous, is it not? How can you learn to move beyond these feelings and see wealthy individuals as we are, as souls in need of the saving knowledge of Jesus? Now, before you don't have to answer that, but these are things that you can think about. But there's this tendency to think that, well, this person has everything, then they don't need to hear what I have to say. And see, all of us come in contact with very wealthy individuals or folks that might have more than we have, and we can influence them, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's opportunities that are placed in our way, in our when we come in contact with folk that are means. I was looking at a video the other day. Good morning, sis. I was looking at a video the other day, and it was talking about an Adventist missionary who, during the turn of the century, he and his new bride went to Kenya, and they worked there among the people, and he was one of the first to he learned the language of that particular region, and he was one of the first to translate or put it in writing, or their language in writing, and then he translated the New Testament into their language. And there were many that were baptized, and one was the individual by the name of Obama. And it turned out that this Obama was, I guess there's a large family there that are Adventists. And this Obama was the great-grandfather of our 44th president. So, not saying that when they were dealing with this was the chiefs in that area, the missionaries had an influence on that. So I don't know how that's going to affect our current president, but there is a connection there. Okay, I was saying that in my former occupation here, I came into contact with very rich people. I flew some folks that were very, very wealthy.